A very rainy Thursday here in New Orleans, Louisiana. This is a very special edition episode of the Dat Chat podcast because we're joined by two very special guests, two of my favorite people in the world, two of my favorite people in New Orleans, of course. Both Saints Hall of Famers, very illustrious pairing here. Both New Orleans, I consider to be sports icons. I think everybody would agree to that. And both clearly felt very sorry for me and had nothing better to do on this rainy Thursday afternoon but come down and join me. I want to thank Olivia and Stump also for letting you all out of your honey-do list to come join me. But Archie Manning, Jim Henderson, thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure.
First, let me just say, first of all, I don't know how often you all get the chance to do this because y'all, even though both retired, I assume you still maintain very busy schedules. So tell me, how often do you all get together, and when's the last time you all got together?
Every now and then, and something funny comes up, you know, give them a call, give them a text. But we kind of go in different routes at that. I really hadn't seen much of him since I went to his 15th retirement party.
Yeah, I think I was at one of those.
But we stay in touch, and I did contact him just a few weeks ago when the Saints won, I think their 9th straight, and asked him if he thought there was any direct correlation in him leaving the play-by-play work and the Saints winning, which I think there might be a lot to that.
I absolutely agree. Yeah. All of a sudden, they're a juggernaut overnight. Last time you all got together?
I think the last time was when they did a show about my retirement at Fox 8.
That was
to your house.
That was fun.
And sat with them and relived, told some old war stories and placed a lot of eyes. But, you know, he's busy. I'm not. I mean, I'm truly retired and popular. Like Bum Phillips used to say, I don't do anything and I don't start till noon.
Right.
Pretty much. Always love that line. Love that line.
Well, the way we want to do this format today, let me just tell this because I'm sure there's plenty of viewers out there, listeners on Facebook Live. We'll just talk for about a half hour, get caught up on what all you're doing, get your thoughts on the Saints, and then we'll take a few questions. So anybody out there on Facebook that wants to get a question for Archie or Jim or anybody else here in the room, feel free to fire away. We'll get to that later on in the podcast. But what I'm most curious about, since you're both now retired, both on Easy Street as it is, how do you fill your time? I mean, both of you all I know have busy schedules, so even though you're technically retired, I assume you still feel like you're working retired.
I don't really say I'm retired. I'm still pretty busy. I still have a association relationship with 8 or 9 companies. Now, it's not, I don't do something for them every day, but over the course of the year, do some events or appearances or some work for them. Still do some corporate speaking. Still have to, we'll go up and go visit kids and grandkids some. I stay not real busy. I did make a real effort to get off of commercial airplanes. I was just flying too much and too often. And I've had quite a bit of surgery in the last few years. It's just hard.
Yeah.
Travel's hard when you're healthy, but don't get around as well. So, but I'm pretty happy with my schedule now, although I've been gone for 8 days. I thoroughly love to be at home. I love to be at home. I love to be in New Orleans during the week. I love to be home at night without going to an event or something. So it's good. And we still do spend some time at Oxford. Probably not as much this year as we have in the past, but we like to go. Obviously, football games or events centered around Ole Miss, but we like to go there and stay 7 to 10 days, not just a 2 or 3 day trip a day. So that's fun too. But I'm not complaining. Life is good.
And Jim, how's retirement treating you? I mean, you just stepped away from your radio play-by-play duties earlier this year, and TV, the duties you were doing at Fox 8. How's that treating you other than your world fishing travels? I know.
There's no bass left in South Mississippi since he retired.
No.
Well, I would echo what Archie said. I'm not sick of retirement yet. Being home is great. I was thinking today, this is the first holiday season that I've had normally in 40 years. I never had uninterrupted Thanksgivings, Christmas, and New Year's in 40 years. And it wasn't until I went to Fox 8 in semi-retirement and watched some of the younger guys like Sean Fazan and Juan Kincaid and saw how much they gave up to their family life to do what they had had to do. And I did that for 40 years. So it's a treat for me to be at home and watch somebody else do the news at 5, 6, and 10 if I can stay up that way.
That's a test, right? I'm sure for you. Well, I'm curious. I think a lot of people would like to know, do you miss it? Do you miss calling the games? Do you miss the action of being in the newsroom?
Well, we have a group at Channel 4 led by Angela Hill. We get together periodically for dinner. Usually 15 to 20 of us old Channel 4 employees. And Angela leads this roundtable discussion oftentimes. And the last time we were together at Pascal's Manale, she said, I want everybody to go around the table and tell me what you miss about working at Channel 4, what you miss working in the industry. And everybody said, I don't miss the job at all, but I miss the people I work with. And I think that's true. I miss the winning locker rooms, which of course they have so many of now. I miss that. I don't miss the long hours. I don't miss the pressure. I don't miss having to stay on schedule for 6 months out of the year to do it the way you want to do it, and all the things you sacrifice in the meantime. Last year, I was pretty much convinced, I had convinced myself I was going to retire after last season. But last year, as you might recall, the Saints played on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So for me, that meant I worked Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and the day after the game, as you well know, is the worst day of the week for me as far as how much there was to do. So I worked Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and on Christmas Day, I took a selfie of me sitting by myself with my Christmas dinner at the Waffle House. And I think, not that there's anything wrong with the Waffle House, but I think that really brought it home to me. You know, I think I've done this long enough. I want to have a more normal life.
And you enjoy it?
Very much. I go to a lot of bingo halls and potluck suppers. There's not much to do up in Poplarville besides that. But I like having no schedule. And I do just enough to keep me busy. This year I'm going to be the president of the Grand Isle Tarpon Rodeo, so trying to raise some money and sponsorships for that. I have 2 accounts that I've had for a long time. Selfless plug here. Rhino Shield and First American Bag. And I'm now getting involved with a group that is importing a Guatemalan beer called Cholera. And that's exciting for me because I've never really done much in the business world. So we're working hard at that too.
Wow, so you're keeping busy.
Yeah.
Just as Archie is.
And trips, fishing trips. You and I will be going on one in February.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to out fishing you, as always, for bass. Even on your home, you don't have the home lake advantage this time. That's the thing. He has these honey holes up there on top of the boat, and he's always in the front of the boat. You know how that works. All right, well, let's go back in time a little bit if you can, and take us back to when you all started working together. Because I mean, I don't know if y'all can remember that far back. Do y'all remember? I mean, do you need some help?
Jim probably better than me. I retired in 1985. I went to training camp with the Vikings, and I was kind of beat up, but I was going to probably play another year. I had a guaranteed contract. I wasn't going to walk away from that. Bud Grant had come back that year. Bud Grant had quit.
Yeah.
I get traded up there, and I said, get to play for a great Hall of Fame coach, great organization. I was there 1 year, Bud Grant quit. And next year.
You made Les Steckel.
Well, Les Steckel took over when we went 3-13. I thought, well, I'm back with the Saints. So Bud came back, but I was kind of beat up. He actually had a couple of quarterbacks. He was great to me. He just called me one day and said, you got a bad elbow, and you don't move like you used to. I said, you're right. And he said, what do you think? I said, I'd really like to retire and go home, but I can't walk away from my contract. And he said, I'll take care of that. And he said, but I'm not going to bring you back. So if something happens to Tommy Craig or something like that, I said, yeah, that'd be fine. I was pretty excited. Because I enjoyed my brief experience over at Houston somewhat. Even up in Minnesota, there was some good things about it, but it never was quite the same for me. Once I left New Orleans, so, I was in my 15th year, I was almost 37 years old. I was ready, and I promised I would never look. I always said those last few years, whenever it's over, it's over. Never looking back. So anyway, I got home, and one thing I wasn't going to do is any broadcasting. ESPN contacted me immediately about doing some college football. My boys were going to get at an age where they're about to be playing possibly some high school football. I said, I'm going to be there for that. I'm going to see that. I'm going to watch it. I don't coach. I don't get involved. But I said, I'm not doing broadcast. I'm going to separate myself from the game. I never had any had any problem, you know. And so what happens? Did somebody?
You came back midway through '85.
Yeah.
We added you to the broadcast group for this. Larry Matson and myself, we came.
I just kind of became the third guy right there, and just and then when we finished the year, and I said, yeah, because I'm not missing football. We'd be glad to do it. So we did it, and then I finished the year. And the next year, Larry moved on to something else. You took over the play-by-play as we did the call, and so I went in. I always loved. I went in to do my little contract with Mr. Early. And I was going to do it myself, just negotiate a contract. I didn't know. And I put a bunch of quarters in the meter out in front of WWL because I didn't know if it'd be there a couple hours. And I came out in about 20 minutes and I had my new contract. And I always did, I did it, what, 12 years, maybe 17, counting the preseason TV that I did. And always, every 3 or 4 years, did a new contract. Mr. Early, I put 1 quarter in that deal. That's all I kept saying. He was nice, man. He was fair, and we did it. And so that's kind of how it started. And the good news, I always said, Jeff, I wouldn't have wanted to do radio or preseason TV when I played because we weren't really good. It's not fun if you lose it. Even the broadcast is not fun. We started winning. You know, Jim Finch came here, Jim Moore came here. Players started winning, having good runs and playoff thing, and then we just had fun. You know?
Did you all hit it off on air?
Jim, I knew Jim. You know, Jim had come here in 78, 1978. So my last few years, I knew Jim. He was kind of a pain when he come around to interview me, but you know, ask dumb questions and that kind of thing. So, no, we Jim and I, but yeah, I'd say for sure we hit it off. We really had fun. We had a good crew with us, Walt Pierce, Bob Carroll, and we went on, you know, it was kind of fun to me to go on a road trip and not be tight to playing the game. I mean, I tried to, he kind of taught me how to prepare, how to get ready to do this, how to go about it. He never did cure, my wife used to listen to it, he never did cure this. I'd come home from a broadcast and how do you sound? She said, fixing is not a word. She said, how do you spell fixing? I said, F-I-X. Which he never did cure me of that, but we had a good run, had a lot of fun.
And I mean, did you all feel like you had chemistry right away, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, I've covered Archie since '78. I always admired him both as a player, but even more so as a person. I think you can tell an awful lot about players in losing locker rooms, and he was always available. Of course, there are a lot of losing locker rooms, so he ended up being able to handle it very well week to week. And he would always be the last guy there in his stall with his towel draped around him, answering everybody's questions about the most recent loss. And I said when we did this little show that I think I've seen Archie more nude than his wife has, because of all the times he'd be sitting there at the end of the press conference and talking to everybody, and never ducked a question. And so I admired him as a player, and I loved working with him. And the one thing that we were really fortunate with, Jeff, was that in '86 the Saints got good, and that was after Bowman left and Moore had come in and Finks, and suddenly the Saints were in contention. And at that time, we always got the dregs of the television broadcast. We were the D game at best.
Right.
So I can tell you this for certain. I've seen tapes of games that were broadcast prior to us on television where the announcers didn't know what they were, didn't know who was playing, didn't know who was returning the kickoff. And that's the kind of broadcast teams we got because the Saints had been so bad and nationally were just not very highly thought of. But when we got on radio in '86 and the Saints started getting good, the WWL radio came up with this thing, turn down the sound on your television and listen to Saints radio, and everybody did. So, you know, with this guy, he has such great credibility, he could say anything and it would sell. I remember one time he used to say, if I tell you it's Easter, start hiding the eggs. And that's what he could do. He could tell the Saints fans that the football was round and stuffed, and they believe it because he was Archie Manning. So,
you know, we also did, we started Second Guess.
Yeah.
Our good friend Paul Buckley.
You all started that? I didn't know
that. He named it. He named that show.
It's a great name for a show.
And we'd go down there every Monday, and we had some big, like I said, the Saints were winning, and at WWL, I mean, people listened, and people started showing up down there. We had sponsors, we gave away some really nice things to the Saint of the Week, you know, and they'd come, we'd pick a Saint of the Week, and they'd come down, and it was, that was fun, so that was kind of a follow-up. Yeah, it was, those were fun days, good day. You talked about after the game, one thing, you know, years later, I worked 10 years with Tim Brando, CBS, not every Saturday, but on the CBS national game. And Brando was a young guy, a young radio guy in Baton Rouge, and he was covering the Saints game, and he told me one day, he says, I always knew when you were ready to stop the interview. You were good, you'd stand there long. He said, you'd turn around, you'd pour a little shampoo in your hair, and then you'd turn back around, and we kind of said, that's a hint.
Let you know right away, he had instincts on that. Well, what was the town like back then when they first started to win? I mean, I know what it's like now, and you could feel it right now in the city. Was it the same way back in the 80s when they first started?
So, yeah, we had never, you know, when I played, of course, you know, I think when the Saints started in 1967, old Tulane Stadium, obviously a lot of excitement, just they were losing, but it didn't matter. The thrill of having a, you know, pro football team, great old stadium there, and people come and just have fun. I didn't know until later we had 3 breweries here, and Jack's, Falstaff, and Dixie they'd have a side, and then they'd rotate every year. Remember, they sold beer out of those backpacks all through the stadium and Albert and all the things that went on. But then that kind of wore off, and during my years, you know, we'd make kind of a little move every now and then, a little tease, but we never got there. In the mid late 70s, kind of had pretty good offense, had some good players, kind of thought we were going to do something, but just never got there. So that was really the first time that the Saints were true contenders, and they're really competitive every week in an NFL game. So the fans were ready for that, and they kind of bought it.
First winning season, and I can remember I was looking at a show the other day that we did prior to the playoff game here in '87, with all the fans lined up outside and cold as could be, and you and I walked down the line and were interacting with them. It was a great time. Archie has such great timing though. So when he comes on the broadcast team in '86, the Saints get good. He leaves after '97 when Mike Ditka was here.
Right.
One season into Mike Ditka, he'd seen this act. He takes off and leaves me with that group.
Yeah,
the last 2 years.
And so, did you all fly on the team plane back then?
We did, yeah. I don't think I would have done it. Later, y'all got off the team plane, didn't you?
Not by our choice.
I don't think I could have done it. That was the luxury part of it, to me, to be on the team plane and come back on the team plane.
Did they always have the phenomenon of fans coming to the airport? Was that something recent?
Yeah. Oh my gosh! During those years when we started winning, you couldn't get out of it. I mean, everybody parked their cars out there in the charter, and you drive out of the old FBO out of the international airport. My goodness, the people that were out there late at night, you know. They might have had a few beers, I don't know.
Just a few, right? Well, you don't think that's a New Orleans phenomenon? It feels that way to me. I can't imagine any other market this size supports a team. It almost feels like Odessa, Permian, Texas high school football passion. I think that's unique to New Orleans.
I'm not sure. I hadn't heard that. You know, I think sometimes, other cities do that on a real special occasion. You know, you win something just huge, and all of a sudden people come there. But on a regular basis, just winning a game, just winning another game, they were out there.
He was talking about coming home on the team charter. I admired him so much for as conscientious as he was. Archie Manning is always going to service the sale. He takes everything personally. If he invests his name into things, he's going to do it in a professional way. And toward the end of his career, I'll never forget this, we'd be on team charters. Friday night, he would see Eli play high school football. Saturday, he would go wherever Peyton was playing for Tennessee. Then he'd find a way overnight or early Sunday morning to go where the Saints were playing. So he'd see 3 different levels of football in about 48 plus hours. We'd get on the team charter to head home. He was exhausted. He'd take out a legal pad and he would sketch every single hour of the next 7 days of what his commitments were. And he wouldn't talk to anybody until that was done. And when he finally put the last pen stroke on it, on what he was going to do next Saturday at 7 p.m., he put the pen down and immediately go all the way up, all the way up.
Yeah, those were, I was a whip dog by the end of those 3 days. I was getting there was a 5 a.m. flight through Atlanta to Knoxville, Tennessee. And it wasn't always Knoxville. We might be going to Columbia, South Carolina, right, Tuscaloosa, or wherever Tennessee was playing. But then it was then a 6 o'clock flight out of Knoxville back to Atlanta. A lot of times New Orleans, but a lot of times other places. I remember the only time I ever missed was I had to go all the way to San Francisco, and I got called on a change in Utah, Salt Lake City, and I was late for the game, and it really he did a bad job of that.
It was all Jim's fault as usual. I can imagine. What was more like?
Bronco on, I think, doing the cover.
I think it was. What was more like to cover back then? I've heard stories.
Jim was good. You know, I mean, some of his, I thought he's a fiery guy, and sometimes, you know, after that's tough on a coach to interview right after you had to do something.
Well, you mentioned Bronco. Bruce Miller also had that job with us.
Oh, boy. But Jim was nice to me. He was very nice to me, and I try not to get in his way or anything. I like to talk to him. He's sad, great. I love his coach. I still keep up with Taylor, Sidwell.
Big Fangio.
Yeah, Big Sam. Great. Big Sam. Great.
Unbelievable.
Chicago, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Taylor's up there. He coaches Russell Wilson. I text him all the time. He had a good staff. Jim was not, you know, Jim, of course, he was Peyton's first coach in Indianapolis. I'll never forget that. But Jim used to let Peyton come out and throw with the Saints during off-season. Well, he was a sophomore and junior. I've always given him a lot of credit. No way, when Peyton went to Tennessee, you know, he didn't go in the spring like a lot of these, he went just that fall. He got thrown in. He got thrown in the Rose Bowl, and he had to play college football. He never would have been able to handle that just coming out of Newman. It was the fact that he got to go out there and work out with some speed guys that Jim Miller let him throw at the Saints.
Well, look, I want to ask you all quickly your thoughts, because I'm sure everybody wants to hear what you all think about the current Saints team. I mean, obviously they're on this terrific roll. They're 11-2, #1 seed in the NFC. Looks like a special team. What have you all thought? I mean, what do you like about the team? Do you have any concerns so far?
They're good. They're good. And, you know, the sign of a really good NFL pro team is when they don't have glaring weaknesses. Because in this league, you can't run and hide. They play 16 games, and you've got something that they're going to find it. And then everybody takes advantage of it. He's seen it all through the years. So what's it been the last few years? It's been the defense for the Saints. You know, they just weren't getting there. That was the difference. Offense has been productive, but even the offense is even better with the bam of the running back situation. You know, back in my day, back when we had Tony Garland and Chuck Munson, they called them Thunder and Lightning. This is in my opinion, this is the Thunder and Lightning. Those
Ingram and Kamara
in the back end, awesome, just awesome. And he has a gift that a lot of running backs don't have. That when I came in the league, a running back had to be two-fold. He had to be, obviously, run the ball. He's got to be a receiver. There weren't any substitutions in those days. We had 11 people on defense, 11 people on offense. If your running back couldn't come out of the backfield and run a route, then he couldn't play. Well, so then it got specialized. So it might not you find somebody that does, but it's not that many. The colleges aren't throwing to their, as much as they don't throw their backs very much. So, I mean, I've always studied that position. I've always studied the running backs and the guys that can come out of the backfield and run routes and get open and be smart and put a lot on their plate. Go back to I mentioned Tony Golf. He was a great Chuck Foreman. I'm not bringing up people.
No, of course.
No, Chuck Foreman. the best I ever saw was Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk, to me, was the best receiver I ever saw out of the backfield, because he was smart, for one thing, and you could put a lot on his play. This kid is really good. But then, you know, they've always, Drew's special, he's a Hall of Famer. They get, Thomas is special, but they just feel deeply, and Sean's design of offensive plays is unique. He is really good. He's a great play caller, but his design of plays, they get people open. And Drew's accurate, he gets to the ball. But their offensive line is good. You know, that offensive line makes for the running game. How many times Drew inside? You know, I mean,
right, very few.
So great offense, but the defense this year has come around really filled, and I think he's getting better. You know, even getting better, and of course he needs to, because you go as the season goes on. As I said, these coaches are smart. They're trying to find that weakness. They're trying to find that guy they can work on and find. So, but special teams, you can't say that takes a heel. I mean, what they've done with him, that's unique. That's special. The kicking game's good. Really good football team. There's some others out there, and you know, I think the way it's shaping up, we're going to be playing at home, and that's really good for the Saints to play better. So I'm high on the Saints.
What have you seen, Jim?
I'd say the same thing Archie did. You can't look at this team right now and say this is one glaring weakness that they haven't addressed. I think they thought they did that with getting Eli Apple. Everybody knew that corner was the weakest part of the defense. He certainly improved him. Is he Marshawn Lattimore? No, but he's better than what they had there in Ken Crawley. The kicking game, which you mentioned, I mean, look at Will Lutz. He's just one extra point and one field goal the entire year. And every week you can look around the NFL and see where the kicking game has cost the team a victory. I think only the Giants kickers have a better season than Will Lutz. So, I mean, there are no glaring weaknesses on this team. They've got great coaches. They've been lucky injury-wise. I saw a column you had written the other day about what a great difference Jeff Ireland has made in this team. To me, that's the main difference in the Saints right now, is the evaluation of talent. The way they have hit on the draft the last few years, you had all the players that they had drafted that are now playing elsewhere in the NFL, a real tribute to their scouting eyes. And Jeff Ireland has got to be a general manager again somewhere. He's just done a terrific job. So, I mean, I think the sky's the limit for this team. All things considered, this looks like 2009.
Yeah, and you all both alluded to Drew Brees. I know you all both know him. Is this the best season you all think he's had?
He's had a lot of great seasons, but you know, he's so accurate. You know, as again, probably the most complete offensive line I think he's had. I don't know if he would say that, but I think he probably looks like to me, protection-wise. You know, he hadn't had. We've had good running backs. Mark's been good before, but this combination, I said, the two of those guys, not only running the football, but throwing. Mark's a good receiver. They throw screens and things to him. So it's just, they can come at you with so many things. And of course, Drew can process it all. He's nothing that people can do that he hadn't seen before. He can handle it. He's, you know, Drew's a better athlete. He doesn't run and do the things that you see a lot of the young quarterbacks doing, but he's athletic enough to move, not get caught. He's having a fantastic season.
And I know, Jim, you've always felt highly of him. I mean, not only on the field, but off the field, all the things he does, he's so much more than just a football player for this organization. This was an organization for a long time that lacked a great leader. I think with Sean and Drew both there, you got two pillars of leadership.
Well, you probably covered the press conference when Drew was announced as the Saints signee as a free agent. And of course, there was the question about his shoulder. Now, from the very beginning, he said, I don't view this as a setback, I view it as a challenge. And that's the way he's gone through his whole career. He's never backed down from a challenge of being 6 foot tall. You know, everything that comes his way, he regards as a competitive challenge to be overcome. And he's done it.
Do you all think this team can win the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think right now they're the best team out there. And the thing's how Jim mentioned something very important. They're pretty healthy. And injuries can kill you. And I mean, it's even the same. We've got pretty good depth. We don't have enough. No one has enough depth to keep people hurt and other guys fill in and play at the same level. So when you're healthy, you are so fortunate. You know, you take probably sometimes you do take it make this run, the December run. You know, we'll see what happens. You won't get the home field, so you keep playing for that. I'm already thinking what's going to happen if we do lock up home field with a game left. You know, that's kind of a tough thing for a coach. I saw it for years in Indianapolis, and it didn't always turn out well. They did it several times.
Resting or not to
Well,
rest?
the play pick, you know, you don't want to get anybody hurt when the game doesn't mean anything. The league did a good job of changing the schedule to try to prevent that from happening. They put all division games toward the end of the year, but still, it could happen to the same. Rams also tonight. They're not, because the Rams may hang one up with them. They got to, you know, stay at least even with them to get the home field advantage. I think you're better off if that doesn't come up. You say, boy, I'd love it clinch and be able to rest everybody. There's something about it. I think Peyton would tell you the same thing. You kind of lose a little momentum there. You know?
Well, I remember when the Saints in 2009 were 13-0 and pretty much sat people after losing that first game to Dallas and ended the season on a 3-game losing streak. I remember Peyton said he talked to Bill Parcells about that. And Parcells said, you know your football team. You know the pulse of this football team, and you know whether it's going to be more beneficial to rest these guys and go in with a 3-game losing streak than to play people, trying to keep them fresher and risk the possibility of greater injury. So Peyton, as Peyton usually likes to say, we'll be smart. We'll be smart about it.
Yeah, I remember him coming in after that saying something when they beat Arizona, coming in and saying so much for the rust. You know, that's classic Sean Payton, right? You know, he's definitely not shy when he has a chance to. So let's take some questions from, because we've got a bunch here from some of the fans on Facebook. For each of you, actually, they've asked individually different questions. Archie, one thing that Lenny Ryan asked is, did Peyton or Eli ever want to play for the Saints?
Well, I don't think there was really an option. I remember you mentioned Mike Ditka earlier. I guess Peyton, I can't remember if he's a junior or something. I remember I went to dinner with Mike and kind of talked about it a little bit, but I don't know what you know, and it's kind of how it falls. They were both first pick. You know, the Colts had the first pick when Peyton came out, and they decided they were going to take him. And Eli's deal was a little different. We won't get into that, but it
I think that's been documented.
It was the first pick. So it certainly wouldn't have been, you know, certainly wouldn't have been opposed to it. I mean, they grew up here and used to go to Saints games, but it never was, I don't think, very close to that.
Okay, and someone asked, Jim, for you, and I knew you were going to get this. Jonathan asked, have you listened to Zach and Deuce as a tandem? What do you think? I know you worked with Zach in the preseason, kind of worked with him to help set up his board and give him some tips. What have you thought so far of that? I assume you've listened to him.
I listened to them in preseason because Zach had asked me to, and he's very open to constructive criticism. I think he's going to be a terrific broadcast. He's come a long, long way very quickly. I talked to DePaul Smith today on the way in, the head of State's radio sales for WWL. I said, what do you think of Zach and Deuce? And I said, after the preseason, I haven't listened anymore because I thought it'd be too hard for me to break away. And I think that would kind of impede my ability to break away from the broadcast booth. And also, I didn't want to pick his broadcast apart. You can do that with any play-by-play guy, from the very best in Al Michaels to the guy that's calling, you know, JV football somewhere. And I didn't want to be overly critical of him because I never wanted people to be overly critical of me. And when I succeeded Larry Madsen, and before that Wayne Mack, to my knowledge, they never took a shot at me, and they could have. Because everybody's going to make mistakes. As you progress as a broadcaster, you're able to gloss over those and not show them to be glaring areas that everybody notices. And if you listen to the best people in the broadcast booth, they're able to do that. So I guess long-winded answer to your question, since preseason I've not listened to them, only because I didn't want to be overly critical of Zach, but I hear great things.
He's sure a good guy. Yeah, I know him a little bit, but I had an occasion to be with him. You know, he's very humble about what he's doing. He knows that he's inexperienced and can keep going. He just try to work and get better. So I like his attitude. I don't get to listen to him much either. I don't see the Saints much. I'm watching the Giants games, but still, he sure is a good guy and he's a smart guy. And I think the main thing about it, he doesn't think he's ready for the Hall of Fame of broadcasting, so he's going to keep working. And Deuce, I think Deuce does a great job, and they'll be fine. Like I said, we were always better when the Saints are winning. The Saints been winning, so they're going on.
Yeah. Less critics, right, when the team's doing well. Adam asks Jim, and Archie, you can weigh in on this too as a former player, but Adam asks you, is it hard watching the game as a fan now as opposed to being a professional broadcaster or analyst?
Not really. I've watched every Saints game from beginning to end on TV. It's fun for me to watch the construction of a television broadcast just because I've been in the room. So if things go wrong or things go right or there's a bit of a problem, it's fun for me to see how the network guys do it every week because we were always in the broadcast booth doing it on radio. So no, it hasn't been hard. There's one I miss being in winning locker rooms. You never get enough of that. Even though you certainly didn't play or contribute to it at all, as the play-by-play man for the Saints and the voice of the Saints and the color analyst for the Saints, you share in that perhaps more than the regular fan does. But also you suffer more when they lose. I hated being parts of losing locker rooms and having to go around to guys that make them go with the same guy that you were praising before the broadcast ever began. I never really got used to that, so I don't miss that. But this year there hasn't been much of that, just twice.
I never had a problem watching the game except we have a child playing. That's hard watching.
Yeah, I can imagine, right?
Yeah, like this year, it's been a really tough year in New York. Been really, really tough. But it's football, as I was saying. Kind of be up on Eli a little bit. One thing about even the New York media, they cannot get to Eli. He doesn't go high, he doesn't go low. So I've been really proud of the way he stood up to that.
Well, someone asked about him. Do you think he's going to keep playing? I mean,
Eli, Mike. One thing about Eli, he will not. I was there 2 weeks ago. I'll see him again this weekend. I guarantee you, like Sunday night, if I try to sit down with Eli and say, Eli, let's talk about it. He said, Dad, I got 2 more. He'll say, Dad, I got 2 more games. We'll talk about it after that. That's the way he works. That's the way he functions. 15 years. One thing about Eli, he's healthy. He is really healthy, and sometimes if he thinks that they got to get a young quarterback up there and get ready for the next quarterback. So whether they would go ahead and do it, whether Eli would be a mentor for him for a year or so, or whether they want to bring somebody else in to do that, they don't have 13 players on their team that were there last year. So they're new general manager, new coach. I think they're good. So Eli, take a good look at it. You'll see what the organization's a good organization. So what they want to do, which direction they want to go. But as I said, I hope he finishes strong because I've really been proud of the way he's handled a really adverse situation this year.
Will he talk with you about that, Archie? Did Peyton talk to you about it?
So well, Peyton will talk to it. Him and Peyton talk. We'll probably talk about it. Peyton will throw in his bit. We'll just see how Eli feels about it. He loves playing for New York Giants. I think Peyton doesn't have any regrets, certainly, when he went to Denver, because they won over 50 games in 4 years and went to the Super Bowl twice. They won the Super Bowl. So, my gosh, they were so lucky that worked out. But I think Peyton, is something there that Peyton, which he didn't want to leave Indianapolis. It was something with him. He felt like, I feel like I'm supposed to play my whole career on one team. And I think there is something special about that. I think that's pretty neat when you get to do that. So Eli, that'll figure in. I don't think Eli's ever, last time he was doing his contract, I remember he specifically told Tom Conley, his agent, he said, you do whatever you want to, take less money, but I want a no trade clause. I don't want to be just all of a sudden, middle of the night, get traded to Buffalo.
Sure, I get that. Especially late in your career when you've been there a long time.
So he loves playing for the New York Giants. So we'll see what happens.
And did Peyton talk to you and Olivia at all before? I mean, did you all know? Weigh in on that.
Peyton get recruited in high school. It was so funny. He had 100 schools calling him, and Peyton he kind of attacked recruiting. He had his grades in order. His senior year. He liked recruiting. He didn't know where he wanted to go. He studied it, and he'd get these. He read the letters that they'd send the depth charts and the bulletin. And Cody, he liked the coaches to call. So every night he'd come lay on the foot of our bed and he talked about the coaches, he talked to him, what his thoughts were of recruiting, where he might go. So when he was going through this, his thing, he flew home, spent the night at our house, and came in and laid on the foot of our bed and talked to us about, is it time? And so we really appreciated that. He's, he was 40 years old, but still, in some ways, he was still kind of our little boy. So it was a big deal.
Still parenting, even when Peyton's 40. Well, Jim, someone asked, this is a funny question, I think, and I'm kind of curious to know the answer. I want to know if you instinctively call out a play call while you're watching the game now. Do you do a pigs have flown just out of instinct?
No, none of that at all. But it's kind of interesting. Now I can watch the games with my wife, and she's really become a real fan now. I mean, we're watching 3 games on Sunday, we're watching Thursday, we're watching Monday. So I can kind of explain things to her, sometimes with technicalities from refereeing standpoint, that sort of thing. So I can kind of give her a little bit of background. And I probably watch it and study it almost as vehemently as when I was actually broadcasting the games, apart from doing the charts and that sort of thing. I still look at the same websites every day. I still do the same amount of homework. I'm not keeping notes any longer between games, but I still like it every bit as much as when I was broadcasting.
I'm curious, what did Stump do all those years you were on the road, traveling, going to games? Did she go to the home games? Did she watch with family or friends, or what did she do?
She usually watched on TV, so she turned down the sound and listened to us on the radio. She almost always had a critique for me in her own nice way. She'd listen to all the games on the radio. Very seldom did she ever go to the game, just because our schedules were so different. If the Saints are playing at noon, I'm in the Dome by 9:30 in the morning. Sure. And after the post game, I'm not leaving there until probably 2 hours after the end of the game. So it just made it difficult. And we had kids at home too that required, at one point, babysitters or somebody to be with them. And somebody had to watch our dog Deuce,
of course,
and Kramer, and Biscuit before him, and Alfie before him. Those are all the Cocker Spaniels we had. So, mostly she was content to stay at home and watch it on TV and not go through the rigmarole and try to inconvenience me. I mean, I get locked in, and it's kind of like being a player. By Saturday night, I'm not there. If the Saints are playing at home on Sunday, mentally I'm not there. The games on Saturday, you're watching college football, but you're still thinking about what you have to do the next day, and what you want to be sharp on, and what the trends are that you want to address, and you're writing the open of the broadcast. So they lost me a lot for those 6 months, and especially week to week, come Friday night, Saturday night.
Yeah, it's a long grind, long season. It's amazing to me every year how quickly the season goes. It seems like just a few weeks ago they were kicking off against Tampa, and here we are, 3 weeks left in the season. It's amazing.
Well, I tell this story all the time. I saw a cartoon, might have been in a Saturday Evening Post years ago, and it's this guy, he's got stubble on his face, and he's got his t-shirt, his U-shirt on, and he's on his couch, he's got his TV in front of him, and he's turning around, his wife's behind him, and the caption read, do you have anything to say to me before football season starts? And that's usually that's about the way it was, because everything gets arranged on your football schedule, your holidays, your trips, week to week. It just totally engulfs your life. At least it should.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Last question from people here, and this is to you, Archie. And actually, it's an interesting question because the Saints have had great success scoring immediately. They get up on people 7-0. Did you, as a quarterback, like getting the ball first? Did you like having the ball immediately, or did you want to wait and let the game play out and let the defense take over?
No, I thought it was always good. Back then, it seemed like more teams do defer now. We used to take the ball back then. They used to take the ball. We never scored. I like that. I used to like to get received.
And Anna wants you all both to weigh in on this. Obviously, the Saints have made some trades this year to kind of go for it, right? They brought in Eli Apple, you mentioned the cornerback, Teddy Bridgewater, the backup quarterback.
Marcus Davenport.
Yeah, Marcus Davenport. So they've kind of mortgaged the future for this window of opportunity. How do you all feel? Do you think that's a smart move to go for it?
I think with the situation they have, you got, Drew can play some more, but you don't know. How long you want to, you want to play, be 40. So yeah, I think that the way everything's lined up for them, you go for it. You go, I think every move they've made was good. You know, Eli Apple, you know, to be honest with you, had a little trouble. I mean, he was high pick in New York, didn't play very good, and then had a little locker room problem and everything, but wisely, again, bringing him here with a bunch of his college teammates, you know.
Yeah, good point.
It's absolutely, you know, if they went to those guys and said, we think if we bring Eli out, will he fit our locker room? Say, yeah, he will. You know, he's not going to come in here and start that. It was in a losing situation up there, and they had some other problems. But so no, I think I like all the moves they've made because they're trying. You know, the Dez thing didn't work. He gets hurt. Brandon Marshall didn't, but you know, they were looking here. They were trying, but you know, the good news, like I said before, Sean seems to just with his design, and even these young receivers, and it seems like one of them will show up one week, another one next week. They seem to do fine. They do good. They get people open, through complete passes. So I like all the moves they made.
Jim, you like it too?
Yeah, the salary cap keeps going up. You know, the NFL is so successful, so suddenly you're not talking about last year's salary cap and being impinged by it. Salary cap goes up, you have more money under the cap to spend because of the NFL's success. And that's Sean, though. He's aggressive. I mean, in everything he does, he's aggressive. He moved for Davenport. I think you could see that in the last game. Now that he's starting to come and be healthier, helps out Cam Jordan so much, just like Ricky Jackson always helped out Pat Squillett. You got to have pressure from both sides. And now with him, they've got it. I can't disagree with any move they made. I'll tell you the one that I think everybody in the media at the time, maybe even you, Jeff, when they signed Will Lutz,
yeah,
and nobody had heard of this guy. He goes through a kicking session, an audition, and Peyton comes in and says, we're signing this kid out of Georgia State. That's the most impressive audition I've ever seen, the most impressive trial. Everybody, myself included, jumped on this guy because they had cut a veteran kicker. Keep this guy, this unproven guy, might be the best kicker in the NFL right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think he started a little shaky, but they stuck with him. And he's been arguably having the best season ever for a Saints kicker. That's saying something. You've got Morton Anderson.
What about Taysom Hill? I mean, you got this.
What do y'all think?
I don't get to see all the games, so I try to follow. You know, we had Taysom in our football. He came to Manning Passing Academy.
I didn't know that.
One of my counselors when he was a Brigham Young quarterback. Unfortunately, he got hurt in Brigham Young a couple times. But you know, where did he come from? Packers.
Yes, Packers.
The Packers.
Yes.
Probably just trying to be a quarterback, and they didn't think he was in their future. But then he comes here and look at all the things he does. It's just amazing.
I remember watching the Tampa game last week, and just about the time I was saying to my wife, I wonder where Taysom Hill is today. He hasn't really done anything. That's something that no other team in the NFL has. A player of that caliber who can do so many things and stress a defense with all the things he can do and the positions he can play offensively.
Yeah, I think you have to give Sean Payton a little credit for utilizing him. A lot of coaches would just sit him on the bench with a visor and a clipboard, right? The third stringer. All right, and wrapping up there, I want to go to a couple things. One, I want to ask you about, I know you're not going to want to go there, but these awards you got coming up, you've got so many of them, I can't keep track of them all, but there's the Walter Camp Distinguished American Award. That's in January, right, up at Yale. What else you got coming up? There's so many, I couldn't write them all on one sheet of paper.
SEC championship game, SEC presumably the Mike Slob Award. Mike, of course, was SEC commissioner, a dear friend of mine. You know, I was on the first college football playoff committee. No doubt in my mind, Mike saw that I got on that. So it was a really fun night in Atlanta, and then I got another one in Birmingham. I got one coming up in Mobile. So Olivia is a little concerned. She said, what's the deal on all these awards? And I said, somebody thinks I'm going to die.
It's an indicator you start getting these Lifetime Achievement Awards. You know? But obviously well deserved, and I'm sure you're really honored for Walter Camp.
Oh yeah, that's
Some
it.
big name people.
New Haven at Yale, and it's been going on a long, long time. Peyton was on the Walter Camp All-American. Eli might have been too. I know they went, but I've never been, so I'm looking forward to being up there. And I know it's a big night for football. Yeah,
and Jim, you mentioned earlier, you kind of alluded to the Tolero beer, but I'm kind of intrigued. Did you say Guatemalan?
Mm-hmm.
Guatemalan. So tell me about that. How the heck did you get hooked up with that? And what's going on?
I was coming out of Academy Sporting Goods like a year ago in October, and this guy came up to me who recognized me, and he said, I know you like to fish. Have you ever been sail fishing in Guatemala? And I'm thinking, possible freebie here. So I said,
typical?
Yes.
No, I've never done that. He said, well, we have a relationship with these people in Guatemala. They're the biggest brewery in Central America. Down there is Gallo beer, Gallo. Obviously, here that'd be Gallo, and those wine people probably wouldn't appreciate that. So he says, we have a relationship with these people. We've had it for 40 years. We bring them up here hunting and fishing in Louisiana, and we go down there. We've got a boat for sail fishing. So we'd like to take you down there to see the brewery, see what you think about it, and then we'll take you sail fishing. So they took myself, my wife, and another couple to Guatemala. We were down there for, I think, 5 days. They took us around. We went to the brewery. It's extremely impressive. They are the Budweiser of Central America. They've got everything. And this group has the exclusive importation rights of this beer for the entire United States. So we think it could be big. And right now we're in 5 southern states, hopeful of getting bigger. You can get it at Aquistapage, you can get it at Rouse's, you can get it at Doranax, I think. And right now they import 3 beers, a blonde, a brunette, and a redhead. The blonde is a lager, the brunette is an amber, and the redhead is a thing they drink down there called a michelada. It sounds terrible. It's a Bloody Mary beer.
Wow.
And it's a spicy beer actually infused with tomato. You have to rotate the bottle in your hand to get it all stirred up. But the women down there love it, and I think it's going to be a great big seller. So it's kind of fun. It's something to invest some time in.
And so I think we know what everybody's getting from Jim this year for Christmas.
Yes.
Some Tolero beer.
6-pack.
6-pack.
Well, I don't know about 6-pack, maybe 3.
3-pack. That's what we got coming to us. So we'll be looking forward to that. I'll look for that on my doorstep coming up soon. Look, I want to thank both of you all for taking time out today. We're down, of course, at Manning's down here on Fulton Street. I came in. We had the artificial snow, or maybe it was real snow falling outside.
But we have a big year, and this year we had also obviously expecting a big sugar bowl. Of course, they're coming. Georgia's coming. Texas coming. We will have a night here. I was just yesterday with our manager. So the 2 championship games will be on Saturday, was it the 29th? Saturday will close out the season the next day.
Should be big.
I think the biggest weekend we ever had this year was when Georgia came in to play LSU, and the Rams were here to play the Saints the next day. A lot of, I wasn't in the stadium that day, but a lot of LA people came to that game.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. That's going to be a huge weekend.
Yeah.
How long have you all been here now?
5 years.
Wow,
5 years, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, it seems like it's going strong. Great location, and I want to thank Ryan Harrow, of course, here, the general manager, for helping us get all set up here. And again, I want to thank Olivia and Stump, both your better halves, for allowing you all to come down here. And everyone here in our crew, Jennifer Armstrong, Michelle Tuggle, Michael Chauvin, Ryan Wilson. I want to thank also our great loyal listeners and viewers out there on Facebook who participated and asked all these great questions. Thanks again for listening, watching, and participating, and we'll talk to you again next week on the Dat Chat podcast. Thanks again. Thanks, guys. That paid free?
Yeah.